Fellow travelers, and welcome to another episode of the Traversing the Stars podcast, third season. My loyal listeners, thank you for your continued support. It's an amazing episode because Elena Juatco boards the mothership to discuss Star Trek Discovery. Now, come aboard as we go traversing the stars. Hi, Miss Juatco. Thank you so much for coming for the Stars podcast.
Oh, hello, Mr. Haas. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's totally my pleasure to talk with you. My wife is a big fan of yours from watching the last episode of Labyrinth
Oh,
of Discovery. And she's like, you need to talk to her. So I made sure this happened.
oh my gosh. Thank you so much. And thank you to your wife. Tell her thank you.
The
Thanks a
character
lot.
you play, and I'll probably get the name wrong. It's Hy'Rell or Hy'Rell?
Hy'Rell.
Hy'Rell. Okay. Even though she only had like that one episode, I feel like she was a character that could just be explored more and more and more, and I found her absolutely fascinating.
Thank you. I do too. I love her.
So I always start with a question of inspiration. So what inspired your love for acting and who your earliest influences?
Inspired my act. Earliest influence, um, I say it was my favorite actor, Jim Carrey.
Mm.
Um, my favorite movie. I watched all his, I mean, he has so many amazing movies. I watched all of them as a kid, but Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, the first one. That was after I watched that one, the first time I watched it, I didn't like it. I was like, what is this? It was completely different. And I watched another time and then I was obsessed and I would do all the scenes and just learn all the lines. I can quote every single line in that movie. And there was one class where we take turns doing speeches for everyone, and we could talk about a movie, a book, or whatever. And I decided to talk about Ace Ventura, and it was basically a grade 4, grade 5 presentation where I just imitated my favorite scenes from the movie, and I had the entire class laughing. And the teacher was very confused. She had no idea what was going on. The entire class was just laughing their ass off. And that's probably how I got this kind of acting, being in front of people, making them laugh, that kind of thing. I think that was my earliest influence.
I would say Jim Carrey was one of my favorite actors. I loved
The
him. Dumb and
best.
Dumber is probably my favorite one of his, or the Truman
Yeah.
Show, or my two favorite of his.
Dumb and Dumber
The Truman Show.
and The Truman Show.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
To me, that's like the full range of Jim Carrey from those two films. And being from Rhode Island, Dumb and Dumber being filmed, right?
Yeah. Truman Show was like also like he started getting into like the depth of not
Yeah.
just being a comedic actor. Like everyone now, I mean, there's now a renaissance, like everyone's now watching Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind
Oh yeah,
because
yeah.
Ariana Grande is doing this thing. An incredible film. And I don't know if you'd seen his TV show Kidding.
No.
They only did 2 seasons and it was so good. And that's what I love. I love actors that come from comedy. I love approaching my work as an actor. I approach work like through with a comedy kind of lens.
Yeah.
And then, but then they can take drama and do it so effortlessly because they say good comedy is actually about telling the truth. You only
Mm.
are going to laugh if something is so truthful. And so comedians are actually very truthful actors. That's what makes them funny. If you're doing it for the laugh, it's not as funny as someone who's just honest. So to have a comedic actor approach drama, I just love
Mm.
watching watching that trajectory because I love approaching my work through comedy as well. It's just
And
like my easiest way in.
and I think one thing I also love about Jim Carrey is that I don't think comedians and comic actors get the respect they deserve to get.
Mm,
Because I think people just assume funny is just, is a goofy, you just do it, you're goofy. It was like,
yeah, you're just
to
goofy.
me,
Yeah, we're gonna do yeah.
yeah, but I mean, the timing, the understanding that the lines and the characters around, it seems to me, someone who can't act, a very difficult thing.
It is so much timing, rhythm, landing the joke, so many like all the technicality. I did a film called Easter Sunday with Joe Coy. And watching him work with watching him, I loved watching him work with Eugene Cordero, another like comedic genius. And just to do a bit, they would try different ways to do it to see how the joke would land. And I would just watch and like they'd hear a laugh from me and they'd be like, that one, right? That's the funny one. Like, is that, and they'd try back and forth, back and over and over and over again to try and get, to make it feel right. If it didn't feel right, if it didn't feel honest, there's just always just throwing paint on the wall constantly. Like that kind of energy, throw paint at the wall every single day. Loved
Now,
it.
after working with him, did you get the bug to try stand up?
I'm terrified to do stand up.
Stand up.
I'm so Someone dared me. If I lost a bet, I was going to do stand up. And I'm so happy I didn't lose that bet. I'm terrified. But it's funny. Like, I think I naturally do it. Like, I've done a lot of hosting. Like,
Yeah.
I've hosted events or like whatever. And I end up needing to fill and I just talk. And I think I naturally do it. But if there was a set and you announced my name and
Hmm.
everyone started clapping and then people with beer just started making fun of you, like, I'm more confident doing sketch comedy, but oh my God, no, stand up is that's scary.
Yeah,
It's scary.
it was a dream of mine to do stand up, but I don't know if I could write funny. You know, like to try to force yourself to be funny. I don't know if like it's more like I'm gonna write something funny on a piece of paper. I don't think I can pull that off. And then my
Yeah.
other fear is being like, "Have you ever noticed?" And then people are like, "No, no, I haven't noticed." You're like,
Like
"Oh,
no one's on my side. I'm
right,
walking up, no one's on my side. And it's also like there's something self-deprecating about it. Every
yeah,
time so you just have to like be self-deprecating and like I find I've been saying this that like going to stand up. I love watching sketch. Like I would go to a lot of improv
hmm,
sketch shows. I love watching, but watching stand up sometimes can be really tiring for me. I don't know if it's because I'm empathetically, I'm like nervous for them, and then I want to laugh like really, really hard for them, so they feel like I'm on your side. Like I do get it. I do. I'm on your side, and then by the end of their set, like I'm tired because I'm like I'm too like on their side. And I'm like, I just felt like I worked. I need to go home. Yeah.
hmm. Yeah,
Have you?
I love watching comedy, stand up. I watch stand up a lot.
Oh yeah, you
I
love
like
it.
Mulaney. John Mulaney is hilarious.
Oh yeah.
You know, I
He's
like him a
so
lot.
great.
And unfortunately, now
I
the
loved his intro at the Oscars when he was
oh.
presenting an award and he just told the plot of Field of Dreams. And like only like that takes guts like to do that. He was just so straight delivery.
Hmm.
Talk about like technical, like how hard it is. Not everyone can say that and make that hilarious.
And like I said, and Joe Coy, he's funny too. But I wonder if his son's gonna kill him one day for
Oh,
the
I know.
choice he's making.
He loves his son so much. Oh my God, loves so much. And but he's also on tour. They spend so much time together. Like that was an incredible bond they must have.
Hmm.
We were all like sequestered because we were in like peak COVID. So none of us could bring our families. So we ended up being our own family. We just lived on like one floor together, like away from our families and just like, we're like glue.
Oh man,
I know, it was cool.
you must get good tickets to the shows then.
He hasn't. Last time he was in Toronto, he didn't tell me. And I texted him
Oh.
like, bro, literally, brother, I play your sister. What the? Yeah, I know. I mean, I could have just called him and like, give me tickets. But I think I just had a baby. And I was like, I'll just see him on the next one.
Well, like I said, your star is rising so high right now, that I imagine he'll call you soon for to get on a show. For like I said, your role of Hy'Rell in Star Trek Discovery has been super well received and super popular. So you're exploding in popularity. What does that feel like for you?
Um, it's it's weird. I think it really like reveals the actor's insecurity. I don't know if you know this, but actors are very insecure people. Which is why we act. Um, but yeah, when I saw how it was being received and all and the things, even I get I don't like reading reviews, but my parents were sending them to me, and then my friends are like, "Watch it this time code." Oh my God. There's a part of me whenever that happens, I just there's a part of me that's just like, oh no, no, they just got confused. It's just because that character, like that hair and the makeup and the prosthetic was just, they just said,
Hmm.
no, not, no, that's not me. It's a very, like, it's a weird, like, kind of like, oh my God, just like, kind of to feel seen for like kind of what you did and what you were
Hmm.
trying to do is like a weird, vulnerable thing like that people kind of saw, like how I saw Hy'Rell, that she really does love knowledge, has a thirst for what she does. What she does is important and it's sacred. And like, the giving of the roots, how like that was just kind of why she does what she does, the apex of that, of what she can do for another person is a very um beautiful part in that way. um, and the timing of it too, because I was pregnant when I filmed that. So I literally like I was in my fitting and it was very early and I was like, oh my gosh, I hope it's not tight. And they put on the gown. I'm like, thank God, in case I start showing. And I told them when it was safe to tell them, kind of like when you've passed that, the first few
Mm.
weeks. And it was just this weird ride I was on that I was like playing an alien, like the first like something that's also like a feminist. Like, there's a feminist quality of like being the first female Afrosian
Mm, yeah, yeah.
ever seen. And she has a maternal quality about her too. And I was reading the manual, like, kind of like, we were trying different things, and I was like, you know what it is? It's the relationship. She's a mother. She's kind of like when you like in the archive. She has all of the knowledge and the wisdom. That's what her life passion is. She lives and dies there. That's what, and she shares that and she brings people in. It's a mother relationship. And so I was like, oh wow, I'm gonna get to bring this to my work now more. And then talking with David Ajala and Sonequa, who's just like mother. And the beautiful conversations I got to have with them on set, it was just like as an alien, talking with them about their kids and like this ride I was on, and what their kids and what their relationship with their kids, and what, it was, and starting to feel the tiny flutters at the same time as, it was just an insane experience. So to be acknowledged like that
So,
is great.
so when you're talking to Sonequa and David Ajala, is it hard not to have a conversation about Star Trek? 'Cause that's like the big thing around them, or do you purposely try to avoid the conversation about Star Trek as much as possible when you're not on set?
Like talking about like their journey through Star
Yeah,
Trek and like,
what's it like to be on Star Trek? Let's talk about
yeah.
just being in the
Well,
Discovery series, or do you try to avoid it
yeah.
completely?
Like we talk about it like as actors more so than like fans of Star Trek, because I got there like I watched their season when like David was first introduced, and I was just like, did you guys audition together? Like you must have. And he said no, it was like all on tape, there was no chemistry. I'm like, your chemistry is insane, the two of you, like it's electric. And so, and lots of talking about acting and how they approach their roles, because I mean, that scene I did with David, he got emotional every single time. We did that scene so many times from different angles and different cameras, and every single time, that beautiful man welling up with tears like down his face. Do it again. Again, he was just so incredibly present, and like
Mhm.
so much of that is caring about the character, caring about the universe that they are in, like, and how, I mean, this universe matters so much to people for how many generations.
Mhm.
um but and a lot of it is just his, I mean, his talent as an actor as well. So I mean, watching that, and then we got into like nerdy conversations about acting, um and he says it's funny, I said that I approach my work through comedy, and he said his his in point, his way in is always through joy.
Mhm.
He said, I approach things with joy. That's my in. And that resonated with me. And then with Sonequa, I was more so than like Star Trek, talking about Star Trek. I just talked about motherhood more than
Mhm.
anything. What was it like? And she gave me some beautiful advice. And yeah, and just watching her work as well. She was like so beautiful to every single person on that set. She was truly, and I've said this, she was the best number one I've ever worked with, hands down.
So the thing with Star Trek is that the moment you're in an episode, almost regardless how much you're in that episode, you're part of the Star Trek family forever. You're going to be embraced forever. You're going to have crowd
Whoa.
conventions forever. Did they
What?
warn you at all about what's coming? Now that you're part of Star Trek?
I'm, I'm no. I see him again. I'm like, no, like this. I have never been to a convention.
Oh, wow.
I would love to go. I would love to be one of those bitches on Instagram who goes, hi everyone, or like, hi Houston, it's Elena. Come see me at Comic-Con. Like, come see me. I would love to be that person and like being super cool. Like, hey, this is just what I do. I gotta go to con. I gotta see some people. like I would love to be one of those cool actors that does that. I've just never had, I've never been invited.
Well,
Never had the chance, but
well, you got to find.
that would be cool.
Well, there's a lot
I have
of
no plans, but
companies that do that
that
rep
would
for
be cool.
conventions specifically, only them. And I think Dave is part of one too. I think he's part of Coolwater's Productions that does
Yeah.
conventions. All you gotta do is probably join, and they'll be like, your entire year would then be sucked up with conventions, probably like immediately.
It would be so well, I mean, they do Tim Rozon, who's the lead on Surreal Estate, which is the series that I'm on. He was like, "Oh my God, it's the best." He was just like looking at like the shooting schedule, being like, "No, it's got to finish by then because I got to go to con here." And I'm like, he's like, he's loves it, and he's like, "Oh yeah." And when I did press for Surreal Estate, they're like, "I hope I see you at con," and I'm like, "God, I hope so too," because I would love to enter that world. I just, as you can tell, I love talking a lot. And I love people and just talking about what I do because I love what I do. I'm not only do I love what I do, but the stuff that I get to do is so cool.
Hmm.
Like Star Trek is so cool and Surreal Estate is so cool. Like it's just I could talk forever about it and I love that energy that people that I can kind of meet people at the same place. It's cool. Where else can you find
Well,
that?
I'm an autograph collector, so I go to conventions every year, usually two or three, and I have my wall
Wow.
is wallpapered with autographs. So that's like my thing. So
Wow.
they're a
So
lot of
cool.
fun. Yeah, so I'm telling you, you got to become a part of it and show and tour the country doing these autographs for, especially for Hy'Rell, which, like I said, a very loved character, I think, already. And as you mentioned, she's in a Frozen, which I think, unless you're a hardcore Star Trek fan, you don't know what that is. But
Yeah, I didn't know what
it
it
was
was.
in Star Trek 4 and Star Trek 6 with the president of the Federation. So were you warned at all about what that is? Would they explain to you like what to expect from playing in a Frozen?
No, they didn't. They didn't give me background about like those characters and how they appeared. I mean, I knew that they weren't like huge. It wasn't like a huge central like storyline like with the Frosians. Like this is I mean, I just read this that Hy'Rell is the first named Afrosian. Such an honor. Um, and so, but I did see like the photos of like of the other characters who were Afrosian, and they were trying to match it and try to feminize it. And so that was kind of they were looking at my face shape, and like I was looking at the photos, and they're like, okay, like the sideburns, and we're not gonna just no facial hair, and like they did like the prosthetic, and they're like, okay, now we got to make her pretty. Like now let's do some makeup. And every time I'd be like, make me beautiful, Rocky, make me beautiful. And so it was a really like I think gratifying for the for them to kind of get to create
Mhm.
something new and their take on this species. It's
I
cool.
mean, for Hyra, like I said, because she's great in the episode Labyrinth in season 5, but they don't give her a backstory. You don't really know where she came from. You don't really even know how the archives and the people who work there even operate. Does she have a family? That is her family. What were you told about her to kind of ground your performance?
Nothing. Literally, like the even like the sides that you get for the audition, like self-destruct. It's scary when it says that. You think your computer's gonna explode. Like it's scary. Auditioning for Star Trek is scary because you're like, you have to sign NDAs and all of that. So I didn't know anything when I auditioned for it. Anything. It was just my take on a librarian.
Hmm.
And then I got the role, and they didn't really give me delve into her backstory or anything. I don't know if that was just I don't know if they had created something and didn't share with me or if they just kind of like left that up to me. But usually when I'm given a character, I create my own so that it's grounded somewhere, and then I kind of keep that as a
Hmm.
little secret in my back pocket until I get an episode and then it's not what it is. And then I'm like, damn it. Or I'll tell the writers of the show and I'm like, hey, so this is what I thought about my backstory. Is this true? Like maybe you can like add it in there.
Well,
But yeah.
because you said that, whatever you say in your head canon is not going to become real because obviously there's no backstory other than what the actor now says. So can you kind of give us a little hint of what you had as your head canon for this character that maybe can now be we can obsess over in the wiki pages now
Ah.
for decades to come about this?
Oh, I don't want to give you anything that you're going to obsess over.
Of course not.
Um, I, you know what? I would this I filmed this in 2022.
Oh, jeez.
It was a long time ago. And I'm like, I can't even remember. I gotta find my notes now. I can't even remember, or it's in the far reaches that I feel is a secret for me. That in case she comes back. I actually, you know what? If I said something and she does come back and then it's not that, it's just I can't
We'll,
that's just I
we'll go
can't do
back
it.
in time and edit it out.
No, I can't. Yeah.
Well,
Do you have a time machine? Is that where you are right now in
you know,
space?
I do all my research firsthand now.
Very nice.
When you think of, I know this still in your head canon, but when you think about Hy'Rell, did you is the assumption though that she has lived her life is just the archive, or do you think that something's like she leaves, has her life, comes back?
It was in my head that she lives at the archive. There was that line, that she was it when they she talked about an archivist that lived out her days here. And
Hmm.
that's kind of like what she saw of herself is to just like to live out her days here is a beautiful thing.
Hmm.
To grow old with an open mind, always learning until your final breath. I think that's her dream.
I
Or
think
that's just kind of that's what she would do. That's just not even her dream. That feels natural to her.
I think that's really cool. I mean, she's someone who dedicates her entire life to maintaining knowledge, right?
Hmm.
What does that say about her, and how did that alter maybe how you thought about who she was?
How did it alter how I felt about who she was? Um, I mean, it's not just like maintaining, it's preserving knowledge. But knowledge is kind of like an ever-growing thing.
Hmm.
It's never maintained at one level. It's an always evolving thing, even like with what the root does. What happens with the root is something that's going to be put in an archive. She wants to know what happens with it, but then she feels there's also a feeling that she was also part of history, that
Hmm.
she was able to give this and that there would now be a record and what could happen with it. If that library hadn't existed, you know, this moment wouldn't have happened.
Hmm.
So it really did, I guess it gave me a deep respect for people who have that thirst for knowledge and have dedicated their careers to that. I did have somebody commented on my Instagram and said, as someone who is a librarian and archivist, this like I was so wonderful to see myself on screen in this way, and she felt
Hmm.
seen, and that was just like the best compliment you could ever get. I think I relate to Hy'Rell so much because I loved school so much. I thought I was, I went to Queen's University. I graduated with a drama major, women's studies minor. I started as a biology major. I thought I was going to be a doctor. My mom really wanted me to be one. But I loved being surrounded,
Hmm.
by brilliant minds and dedicating that time to learning things. And when university was over, I was sad. I still love learning. That I actually really enjoy teaching a lot. I've been
Hmm.
teaching and mentoring a lot, and I feel like I'm kind of back in that world again. There's just something about that world that's very it's very beautiful, and it's very selfless and giving and
Hmm.
natural. I think as like humanity should be evolving to be better with each generation and better through knowledge. And yeah, it was like I said, a really beautiful, loving character that I'm glad people connected with this kind of take on a librarian.
Well, like I said,
There's so much more than just that.
as a teacher
So much more than
myself,
scanning barcodes and, bye. Can I renew your library card? It's so much more than that. I also love the library. Can I say my special skill is I've memorized my library card number.
nice.
Yeah, by heart because I've read so many books at the library. You can also rent ebooks at the
Really.
library. Yes, I rent it ebooks. and audiobooks are at the library. You can also print at the library for free. You don't even have to get a printer. Everything is at the library. Everything.
Well, I was gonna say, as a teacher, I greatly appreciate that because I teach. That's my day job. I'm a
Oh,
science
you
teacher.
do?
Yeah,
Bless.
for English.
If I wasn't an actor, I feel like I would have been, I don't know, a teacher of acting or not, but like there is something wonderful about teaching. Yeah,
Hmm.
to be that role model for other kids too. You shape their lives and their minds in such a key way, you know.
Yeah, no, that is true. Like I said, my school year is about to end, so I've 3 weeks left with my current students. So I'm both excited to see, to wrap it up, but also kind of excited to see what comes up for next year.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a thing when it goes well.
Yeah, it is. It is, isn't it?
So one thing about Hy'Rell, she's such an upbeat character, but there's also that moment with the Breen where she's kind of like, "I freaking dare you," like, what are you gonna do? Like, which says, "You're
Don't mess
suspended.
with
Search,
her.
yeah, search knowledge elsewhere." So how did that affect your approach when you saw that other side of her for that little moment when she's like, "Fucking dare you, try to do something against my archive." How did that change, how you also approached her?
I loved that scene. All shot against a green screen. Um, the difference between appearing as a hologram, like, in front of Michael Burnham and then appearing in front of the Breen.
Yeah.
It's like she also learns different languages. She understands different species and like how to conduct herself. Like she is the person who greets visitors and she knows how to conduct herself and she knows the Breen and she knows why they're there. But there is a line you don't cross with her. Like you asked her if she lives there. She lives and dies by that place. It's
Mm.
her um um there she just draws it's great to see her kind of draw the line in the sand that she can be uppy and peppy because this kind of engagement that she gets is kind of like this is why I love my job. She loves visitors. Visitors, oh my God. And your name is Book. Like, oh my God, this is perfect. Um, and then to see that other side as well. Rarely do you get that with these characters that come in for one episode that you get to kind of see like both sides of the coin, like
Mm.
the two kind of different ways that they can be. Um, so yeah, I loved that scene.
So it's pretty damn ballsy to look at the size of the Breen ship and basically tell them, "Go away. I'm not
Yeah,
interested. You're done."
yeah, yeah. Like I'm warning, you don't do that. And then goodbye. I'm gonna go like basically now we have to enter war.
Hmm.
Um and she doesn't want to. Like, they're peaceful, but if it's to protect knowledge, they will do everything. Yeah.
Do you think she survived the end of the episode? Because I know the Breen does fire upon the archive. You think she survives?
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yes. Isn't there a line? There's a line at the end. Isn't there?
I'm trying to
They
remember.
didn't send me the episode, okay? They didn't send it to me, just so you know. Like I didn't there's a line there. I swear.
I
Where
know.
they say that they're okay. Hy'Rell, no, I reported there were massive injuries and stuff. And then no, she's fine. Like everyone take a breath. I played it like she lived in my mind.
Okay.
Of course she lived.
Okay. So then she
That'd be
lived.
horrible. There's a line there somewhere. Someone comment. There's she that sh she's okay. Unless they cut it. Oh my God.
Oh, they better if she's
I
alive and they cut
swear,
it.
I swear it was like in the script because I was thinking that too when I was reading the script. I was like, Hy'Rell, no. And then I went, okay, she's fine. But now I'm scared they cut it.
Oh, I watched the episode a couple of times because I'm also interviewing Mr. Russo who did the music. So I've been watching some of my favorite
Mm,
episodes. So I was watching him several times to make sure not only for this interview but for my next one tomorrow. And I can't remember. Last thing I remember
you
is
don't
that the
know?
Breen leader was like, "We're going to just destroy him," and then he gets killed. So I was like, "Wait a second, did they attack it or didn't they attack it?" So I don't know.
Oh my God. What are we gonna do?
Well, if you say she's alive because you're obviously right now the authority on that right now.
Am I? Okay.
As much as anybody
I
else.
say she lived.
Okay, so she's alive.
Archive is safe. Hy'Rell is safe. She's totally like chilling and happy, you know,
Because
unwinding after a hard day.
you know
Living
what's going to
life.
happen with Hy'Rell, right? Because Star Trek always has comic books and they have novels. Someone's going to write a Hy'Rell book, either a backstory or the further adventures of Hy'Rell, either from IDW comic books or the novel. I'm just pointing that out. So if you say she's alive,
Are they?
they're
Oh
going
my
to
gosh,
have
then we
to,
can
aren't they?
compare notes. And then I'm going to change my backstory. I'm going to be like, okay, no, this is it. They did it so much better. There are so many people that do them so well. Like I watched this like alternate ending for Game of Thrones and it was like, "Oh my gosh. Like you wrote this better." Like but it was like, why don't you work for HBO?
Mm,
Like and in my head I pretend that's how the series ended, not how
yeah,
it actually ended. Like it was so it's on YouTube. Like it's like the best end like alternate ending where you just feel better about yourself. You don't feel so
really?
gross and sad. It was, yeah. I'm gonna send you the link.
Yeah,
Because are you still upset about it?
because I'm someone who I loved. I think it was the first 7 seasons. I was like, you know what, this is one of the best shows ever made on
Yes.
TV. And then the last season was so bad it really made it hard to watch the other seven ever again. Because I will like rewatch shows over and over, like The Good Place. I watch like all the time.
Yeah.
And
That
Game of Thrones was one of those shows. I was like, I'm gonna rewatch it. I bought the DVDs.
me too.
Then
I
after the
thought I
eighth
would too.
season, I just stopped. I didn't even buy it. I was like, you know
Me
what?
too.
Can't do it. I'm done. This is
I'm the
it.
same. I was like, I can't wait till the finale, and then I'm gonna watch from season one. And
Yeah.
I'm the exact same way because it left this disgusting taste in my mouth where I was just like,
Yeah.
you have no respect for these characters or me as your audience. You don't care about anyone. You don't care. Like, how dare you think that this is how it ends? And then I was crying the next day. Like I was so upset. So I really want to rewire your brain and help you feel better about yourself. I'll send you the link. It's
Oh,
phenomenal.
please do, because I, I
Oh,
mean, every time I watch the ATs, well, when I watched each episode, I was like, you had more episodes you could have done. I'm sure they would have allowed you more time to make this
oh
right.
yeah. They had all the money. It's not like they
Yeah,
weren't capable of it, but clearly they didn't want to pay this incredible YouTuber to
yeah.
join the writers' room who like brought back motifs that were referenced, like all these like dead ends where you're like, you're not bringing that back. Like what? And that they just how they rephrase. Oh my God. It was just yeah.
Well, like I said with
You guys are
Hy'Rell,
brilliant, honestly.
I
People
think
that are in
I
this.
think you're guaranteed probably an action figure potentially, but I
Yeah.
can I'm going to assume there's going to be an issue or even just one of those anthologies where the character has something else. 'Cause she's too cool to stop, and I when you watch her, I mean she's so upbeat. You got to wonder like is she just naturally upbeat? Is she that performance as a customer service almost? Like
No, it's real.
you think it's 100% real?
It's real, of course. It's real. That's real joy for what you do. I guess I don't know. Don't it's it's a privilege to get to have joy in what you do for a living. It's a privilege. It's
And
not everyone does.
and I imagine all those books were CGI because I was looking at those libraries thinking to myself, oh my God, that's like a dream to have a room with that many books in it. I assume it's all CGI.
Um, I think they added extra like levels, but that was in Toronto. That's a library in Toronto.
Really?
It's an actual archive. Like they had like old like manuscripts from like in behind the glass. That was
Oh,
real. No, that was a real place in Toronto.
holy crap.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, and it was a literal archive, and like even like it was temperature controlled, and like there's no light because you want to preserve the old books and everything.
Hmm.
But that's a real place. They added levels, but it was like you look up and you'd see.
Oh my
It's
God, because
phenomenal.
I'm also a collector of, as an English teacher, I'm also a collector of old books, believe it or not. And I saw that library and I was looking at my windows, like, that's the dream to have a book
Real.
that, when you open, they just crink, the pages just like crink as you turn them.
Yeah.
I love that. So I was watching that. I was like, oh, I wish that was real. And that's real, you're saying now.
That's real. We filmed those were night shoots. We filmed at night when they could close.
Yeah.
And that was real.
Do you
Hmm.
remember the name of the library by any chance?
God, I don't. Someone wrote an article. They wrote an article about it, because the library is very proud that that they were showcased there. And then there was someone who like ran the library and they saw Sonequa and they just like they just went up to her and said, "I'm so sorry, but like we are so happy to have you, and I'm such a huge fan." And she just held, it was so beautiful. Like I just
Mm.
watched her hold space for this person. She just listened, and he was just like, "And I watched this, and I watched this, and da, 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 da." It was so beautiful. And she said, "Thank you. Oh my gosh, we're so happy to be here." They're really lovely, welcoming us into their space. And like it was scary to have like a crew in your where there's like very old
Mm.
manuscript, old books around. And so it was very, they were very lovely having us there.
Did you take any books out so you could look at the older ones?
I didn't. There was
Oh,
no real librarian on duty
oh.
where I could take out a book. Um, no, I never went back. I never went back. I don't know why.
Well, you're gonna have to now because like for now they're gonna get a bunch of people watching and be like, oh, what's the name of the library? They can find it, and then everyone's gonna be rushing to the library to look at
Yeah,
these
I
books.
know. I'm sorry. I should know the name of the library, but I can't. I can't remember it. It's
Hmm.
downtown Toronto. Hmm.
That's also cool with Sonequa because in many ways she a lot of what people owe to Star Trek, what it is now, comes from Sonequa and Discover because without Discovery, there's no Strange New Worlds. There's probably no Picard. There's no Lower Decks. There's no Prodigy. There's no Section 31 coming out soon, and all this other stuff because of the success of what they did with Discovery
Hmm.
is where we are now. So, I mean, when you're hanging around Sonequa, does she seem like that star? Like she like I'm Michael Burnham. I'm famous, or is she able? If she is just that approachable.
She is that approachable. Like she's a lovely human being.
Mm,
Just as she's a human being that's like in the mid, and you have to be the lead of such a huge show with, as you said, with such enormous influence. You need to be grounded. And you need to be a leader that someone people look up to so that they can keep continuing to make this. You need to make it. I mean,
mm,
not everyone does. I've heard of some horror stories, but she truly is just a beautiful, grounded, open, just
mm,
open human being. We were shooting so late at night, so late at night, and she never complained. There are some people that are like, I'm so tired, I've been on set. She was just like, oh, do you want a hydration packet? Like, she's just like, she has so much energy. And I was like, wow, Sonequa is who's the least tired of all of us. And she had to wake up early and get her kids to school.
mm.
Like, I don't know where she gets it from. I remember asking the driver, I'm like, where does she get this beautiful energy from? She's so unique, man.
Mm.
She's so special. She's the diamond. She's so special. They really lucked out getting her.
Well, talking about energy, I mean, with those prosthetics, I've talked to people who do the prosthetics, um, and obviously they talk about how many hours it takes to prepare to get that all, on your face and stuff. How early before shooting did you have to wake up to do this, and how does it feel acting with something like that on your head, preventing some of your performance from being as visible?
The prosthetic was actually quite like it moved with my facial expressions. That was one of the first things they did after, it was all done. I actually spent a lot of time in front of the mirror, like it's so weird, like doing mask work it's like doing mask work. And I was like, move my forehead, like, can you do this? And I'm like, yeah, like I can, it's completely flexible. I mean, it was molded to my face. So it was extremely comfortable. I
Mm,
never felt like, oh my God, I can't wait to take this off kind of like feeling. It was, I mean, I don't know, the technology that they have, it's lightweight, it's not itchy, it's not nothing. I forget that I forgot that it was on even. It did take time. I've never left set that late at night before, where like I leave my trailer and nobody's there. Like
mm,
usually an actor, like they go, "Ugh," and they're out the door. But because it takes so much time to take it off and then like wash everything off, and like I was leaving and like trailers were dark. Like people were gone. It was quiet and it was creepy. I was just like, now
mm,
I feel like I'm on The Walking Dead. Like, am I gonna die? Like, I didn't know that sets could be this quiet at night. Like, I'm usually, because they want to get the actors out as soon as possible, right? So it was a shift, and it's a lot of time to sit on your butt doing that prosthetic. But luckily they got good music playing in the background.
Did you get to keep your forehead? Like,
God, I wish.
like, because sometimes I know actors, sometimes they'll keep their little prosthetic piece.
You know what? No, no, I would have kept it. I would have kept it if they did. I don't think they did. I think there's something they would needed to like keep it for reference. Like they have their own archive. Like there's the archive, and then there's like the Star Trek archive where they have their stuff, and you can't touch it.
Hmm.
But no, I didn't get to keep anything.
So what? So what's next for you?
Mhm. Next for me is getting ready to start filming season 3 of Surreal Estate.
Ooh, very
Airs on
cool.
Sci-Fi. I'm very, very excited. I want to say stuff, but now I'm like worried I'm not even allowed to say anything. I don't know, like NDAs are so weird.
Hmm.
But I did talk to the showrunner, George Olson, recently, about what cool things could happen for Lomax for the next season and how we saw it all coming together. And it's very exciting. I'm very looking forward to it.
You're gonna come back when it airs so you can talk about it?
Yeah,
All
100%.
right,
I would love
very cool.
to. You know me. I love to chat, if you can tell. I'm a chatterbox. I love talking about this books.
Well, Lacey, you've been absolutely fantastic. I'm going to now brag to my wife. They got to talk to Hy'Rell. That was fantastic for me.
Yeah, tell her
So
I say hi.
I totally will. Thank you so much. You're awesome. And like I said, you played a fantastic character, and I really hope there's more for you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here.
Have a great night.
You too. Bye, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Traverse the Stars podcast. Please help me battle the algorithms by liking and subscribing. Be sure to turn for the next episode when Andy Lanning and Ant Williams board the mothership to discuss Legendary, the fall of Mara from Meta Travelers. To the next voyage, travel on.